Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode. Today we're diving into the latest update from Turning Point Brands Inc. and let's just say they've made some noise in the market, or at least they're telling us they have. So what's the big news from Turning Point Brands? Well, on August 6th, they dropped a press release to spill the beans on their financial performance for the second quarter of 2025. That's the period ending June 30th. This is essentially a company that makes products you might buy, and their stock trades on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker TPB. Think of it as a report card for how well they're doing in the business world, and by extension, how well they're doing at making money from what they sell. Now, while this document tells us they released a press release, the real juicy details aren't directly in this specific filing. They're actually in that press release itself, which is attached as an exhibit. It's like getting a summary of a book, but the actual book where all the exciting plot twists are is provided separately. We're going to focus on what this means for the company and what kind of story their numbers are telling us. The core of these filings usually boils down to how the company performed financially. They're telling us they're going to announce their results, and that's what the market really waits for. Did they sell more stuff? Did they make more profit from those sales? Or did things not go so well? When we talk about quarterly results, we're essentially looking at snapshots of the company's health over a 3-month period. Imagine checking your vital signs every few months to see if you're getting healthier or if there are any warning signs. Investors do the same thing with companies. They want to know if the company is growing, if it's profitable, and if it's managing its money wisely. The company is Turning Point Brands, and they deal in various consumer products, often within the adult beverage and, you guessed it, tobacco adjacent categories. They own brands that many people might recognize. Understanding their financial results is key to understanding whether their business strategy is working. Are people still buying their products? Are their new product launches successful? Are they efficiently managing the costs of making and selling those products? This filing is signed off by someone named Brittany N. Cushman, who holds a pretty important role as Senior Vice President, General Counsel, and Secretary. This just confirms that the company is officially putting this information out there and they're standing by it. Now, the real meat of a filing like this, even if it's just referencing a press release, would be the financial performance. If we had the full financial tables here, we'd be looking at things like revenue, which is the total money they brought in from sales. Then we'd look at their cost of goods sold. That's how much it cost them to actually make the products they sold. The difference between those two is their gross profit. After that, we'd examine their operating expenses, things like marketing, salaries, rent, and so on. Subtracting those from gross profit gives us their operating income. And finally, after accounting for interest and taxes, we get to the net income, which is the bottom line, what's left over as profit. We'd also be watching for trends. Is revenue growing year over year? Is that growth accelerating or slowing down? Are their profit margins expanding or contracting? For instance, if revenue is up by 10%, but their cost of goods sold is up by 20%, that's a red flag. It means they're selling more but making less profit on each sale, which could be due to rising ingredient costs, or maybe they had to discount products to move them. Turning Point Brands is incorporated in Delaware, which is common for many US companies for various legal and tax reasons. Their file number is 001-37763 and their employer identification number is 20-0709285. These are standard identifiers for regulatory and tax purposes. Their common stock is traded on the New York Stock Exchange, which is one of the largest and most prestigious stock exchanges in the world. This means that their shares are available to a wide range of investors, from individual retail investors to large institutional funds. The fact that they are listed on the NYSE implies they meet certain financial and corporate governance standards. The key date here is August 6th, 2025. This is the date they officially reported their second quarter results. What happens shortly after a company announces its quarterly earnings is crucial. The market reacts. If the results are better than expected, the stock price might jump. If they're worse, it might fall. Analysts will also weigh in, dissecting the numbers and providing their outlook. If we were looking at the actual financial statements, like a balance sheet, we'd see what the company owns, what it owes, and the owner's stake. A statement of cash flows would show how money is coming in and going out. These provide a more detailed picture than just the highlights in a press release. For example, a company might show increasing revenue, but if their debt is also increasing significantly, or their cash flow is drying up, that's a sign of potential trouble. It's like saying you're earning more money at your job, but also piling up credit card debt at an alarming rate. Eventually, that debt becomes a burden. When we consider a company like Turning Point Brands, we're also thinking about the industry they're in. the consumer product sector, especially those involving adult beverages and tobacco products, can be influenced by changing consumer preferences, regulations, and the economic climate. If people are cutting back on spending due to economic uncertainty, products like premium cigarettes or spirits might be among the first things they reduce. Conversely, if the company has strong brands that are resilient even in tougher times, they might perform better than competitors. Warren Buffett famously looks for companies with strong brand recognition and a history of consistent performance. He'd want to see if Turning Point Brands has that moat, that durable competitive advantage, that allows them to keep making money year after year. Without the specific numbers from their press release, it's hard to give a definitive analysis of their performance. However, the act of reporting signifies ongoing business activity. The focus for us as viewers of Corporate Decoder is to always look beyond the headlines. Is the growth sustainable? Are they investing wisely in their future? Are they managing their risks effectively? When a company releases its earnings, it's a good time to see if their past promises are turning into actual results. For instance, if they announced a new distribution strategy to reach more customers, the earnings report would ideally show an uptick in sales that can be attributed to that strategy. If the numbers don't reflect the declared strategy's success, then questions arise about execution or the strategy itself. The point of these filings and the associated press releases is transparency. They are legally obligated to share this information. However, the way information is presented can sometimes paint a rosier picture than reality. That's where critical analysis comes in. We need to see if the reported profits are translating into tangible benefits for the company, like paying down debt, investing in new growth opportunities, or returning value to shareholders through dividends or buybacks. In this case, since only the announcement of a press release is detailed here, our analysis is limited to the importance of such an announcement. It signifies that Turning Point Brands is in communication with its investors and the public about its operational and financial standing for the most recent quarter. To truly assess Turning Point Brands, we'd need to delve into that Exhibit 99.1 press release. We'd hunt for key metrics like revenue growth, earnings per share, and any commentary from management about the drivers behind those numbers. We'd also look for any forward-looking statements, which are management's predictions about the company's future performance. These are important to gauge the company's confidence and strategic direction, though they should always be taken with a grain of salt as they are inherently speculative. Looking at the bigger picture for Turning Point Brands, their success relies on their ability to adapt to consumer trends and regulations within their industries. They operate in mature markets, so innovation and efficient marketing are crucial. A key indicator of strength would be consistent, profitable growth, demonstrating that their brands are resonating with consumers and that they are managing their operations effectively. A potential weakness could be reliance on a few key brands or product categories, making them vulnerable to shifts in consumer taste or tighter regulations. So while this particular filing doesn't give us the raw numbers, it points us to where those numbers are. And that's the first step in decoding what's really happening at Turning Point Brands. Always remember to dig deeper than just the initial announcement. Alright, that's our breakdown of this initial filing from Turning Point Brands. What's your take on companies using press releases to announce their results? Do you find them transparent enough, or do you always look for the deep dive into the SEC filings? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives into corporate documents. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description for more community discussions. Thanks for watching. See you next time.